Hi there, I'm Vincent Bos, and I'm a life coach, relationship coach, and breakup coach. You can change the language of this podcast in the YouTube video settings. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing the truth of rebound relationships. I provide audio coaching for breakup recovery, trying to get an ex back, attracting someone new, and life coaching. Visit www.dateme.tips for more details. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. Subscribe to my weekly support emails. The link is in the description. So now let's get back into today's podcast, and today we are discussing the truth of rebound relationships. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, rebound relationships feel like a problem. But what's the truth? In today's podcast, I'll be discussing 3 points to consider about rebound relationships. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is they don't last. Now let me know in the comments if you think that your ex is in a rebound relationship. Let me know in the comments and let's see what the community thinks. And as I said, point number 1 is that they don't last. And this is my opinion of rebound relationships. I believe a rebound relationship can only be defined as such if it has an end point. So let me just clarify on that. When we look at the characteristics of what I see a rebound relationship to be, I would include the final characteristic in that it ends. So if you or your ex or anybody that you know gets into a relationship which you deem to be a rebound relationship, and yet they stay in that relationship forevermore, in my opinion, that is not a true rebound. It is also very unlikely to happen if it had followed the previous characteristics. So let's just look at what those elements are which I believe make a rebound relationship. Now the first and probably most famous, you could say, of what makes a rebound is that it is a relationship which starts soon after a prior relationship has ended. Now that, of course, is a crucial element. Now, how long after before it no longer counts as a rebound? Well, in my opinion, we're talking months, okay? So obviously if it was days or weeks, it would be deemed as a rebound. I would also say months, certainly not beyond a year, but also not necessarily 11 months or so, even if it's not quite a year. If it's getting to that stage, is it really a rebound? Perhaps not. But that is one of the main characteristics of a rebound relationship. It's began soon after the breakup, days, weeks, or months after the breakup. Now, the second characteristic of a rebound relationship is the relationship moves very quickly. Now, normally that is because the person, or both people possibly, who have come out of prior relationships often want to gain and get back and enjoy some of the elements of the prior relationship. Even if they ended it, it doesn't mean that they didn't like all of it. There are going to be moments within it that they did enjoy, and they often want to kind of get to that stage as quickly as possible. And hence people who are having a rebound relationship have not only got into a new connection very soon post breakup, but they are also moving it along at a very fast speed. Now, the examples I like to give is perhaps you find out, maybe it's your ex, has got into a new relationship 2-3 months after your breakup, and you've also now found out that they've gone on holiday together, or vacation together, or they've gone on a trip together. And you're thinking, well, wait a minute, when we got together previously, we didn't do anything like that for 18 months. And yet you're telling me they get together a few months after our breakup, and within a matter of weeks, they're going on a trip, a holiday, a vacation? That's crazy. That's really fast. That is an example of how a rebound relationship can go quickly, and it can go quickly because the person or people in it want to enjoy things from the relationship they just left. They want to enjoy those again, and hence they just kind of bring it on much quicker. Now, a holiday or a trip, vacation, is probably the least of the concerns, because other ways people speed on rebound relationships can be even more important, you could say. Perhaps living together. They only met very recently and now they've moved in with one another. That's crazy. But perhaps not as crazy as people who get engaged really, really quickly, or maybe even actually getting married. These things do happen. And if you find out that your ex-bedumper, for instance, is in a relationship which began soon after your breakup and is now going at 1,000,000 miles an hour, well, we're now going to look at the third and main element of a rebound, which I've already referenced. In fact, it ends. It ends almost as quickly as it began. I would suggest if it ends within months, it could constitute as a rebound. Now, maybe they are together for more than a year. If that's the case, then perhaps we have to say, as unlikely as this would be, but it has now transitioned into a more stable relationship. It doesn't mean that it's going to last forever. It could still end at any point, as sadly you have seen with your own relationship. Okay? Relationships sadly do end. But can we really call it a rebound if they've been together for more than a year? I would suggest at that stage it is more stable. And this is because they do truly know each other now. And that is the whole reason as for why rebounds often end quickly. Because they don't really know one another. People in rebound relationships, as we've already explained, like to move a connection on really, really quickly. Instead of getting to know the person and then moving the relationship in a steady and confident way, instead, they're actually moving the relationship on very quickly and getting to know the person on the job, you could say. They're getting to know the person within the relationship rather than getting to know the person before moving the relationship to the next milestones. And hence, if you are rushing a relationship, if you are hitting milestones before you truly know that person, is it any surprise that it is likely to end? Because as soon as both people do actually get to know each other, the likelihood is they won't be compatible. And why is that? Because it's very hard to find a long-term compatible partner. It's tough, it's difficult, it's not likely you're going to go from one long-term relationship, you and your ex, and then instantaneously find somebody else who is long-term compatible. The likelihood of that is very, very slim. And from my research, most people who get into a relationship within a year or so post-breakup are not going to be with that person forevermore. Hence the name rebound relationship. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast. Please give this video a like and let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you like my content, subscribe to the channel to keep updated. And point number 2 is you could have one. Now, if you're listening to this from a perspective of a dumpee, probably the last thing you're thinking is getting into a new relationship right now. You want your ex back. That's what you want. So hearing me say you could have a rebound relationship, especially after what you've heard in point number 1, is probably a bit of a shock to the system. Not only do you not want to date anybody else, but how on earth could this help you within your goal of getting your ex back? And if you know it's probably going to end, then why would you want to do it in the first place? Well, first of all, it's important to say, of course, you don't have to. It's also important to say that anybody you get into a relationship with needs to understand how you are viewing this connection. 2 consenting adults can have a type of relationship that they desire, and you may be surprised to find out that there are other people in very similar positions to you who might be looking for something that is no pressure, looking for something that is not necessarily going to last forever. Now, it doesn't mean you're getting into a connection almost knowing the end date, but you can get into relationships or dating patterns where you both know it's casual, it's no pressure, and this is on the basis that you have said to this new person, hey, I'm not long out of a breakup, I'm not really sure what I'm looking for right now, I don't really want anything serious, but if you want to date, maybe take it a little further, that would be nice, we'll see how things go. And they might feel exactly the same. Now again, you might be thinking, well, why would I even want to do this? Well, firstly, it's really important that you improve yourself in every single way, and that also means improving your perishable skills. Perishable skills are skills which if you don't practice, you get worse at. If you don't use it, you lose it. And this fits in really importantly with relationships, because dating skills as a whole are perishable skills. communication skills, flirting skills, the skills that you will potentially need in reconnecting with your ex need to be honed. They need to be practiced. And how can you do that if you're sitting at home alone? Now again, I'm not suggesting that you find someone to date with an end date in mind where it's all over, and then you're going to try and get your ex back, because what does that even mean in the first place? Instead, what I am saying is just keep yourself busy, keep yourself social, and if a connection starts to feel nice and right with someone, maybe you've gone online dating for some conversations, you actually decide to meet someone, you're not really sure what you want, you're honest with that person, you say you're not looking for anything serious, you're not ready, they feel the same, then why not go with the flow? It keeps you practicing those perishable skills. It can also help you learn things about yourself that you maybe didn't even know. Dating somebody new can allow you to see things from different perspectives. It might even help you in getting your ex back from a perspective of understanding where you can improve as a person and as a relationship option. Now, as long as both of you have understood that this is not going to be getting too deep and you're not giving mixed signals or leading anybody on, because that wouldn't be nice, then if and when this drifts away, nobody has got hurt and everybody is okay with it. But you might be thinking, well, my ex-dumper wouldn't be okay with it. Or would they? Now, of course, I can't guarantee that your ex would be okay with this. But what I can say is that I've spoke to many dumpers, and most of them have told me if they found out that their ex-dumpee was dating someone new, instead of being angry or upset, if anything, they feel a little bit jealous. They start to view their dumpee in a more positive light, because from their perspective, even if it's just subconscious, they now see their ex-dumpee as a dateable option. If you are dating someone new, that means other people want to date you. That means you are a valuable, dateable option. Your ex-dumper ended your relationship. I'm not suggesting that they thought that you would be single forever, but subconsciously, they have unfortunately put you in a position where you feel rejected, and they are thinking themselves, I don't want to be with my dumpee. So if they find out that you're dating someone else, it just makes them think, well, actually, if other people put value in my dumpee in a relationship sense, maybe I should have done. Maybe I was wrong. So how can your ex-dumper find out that you're dating somebody new? Well, I'm not suggesting you text them, okay? I'm not suggesting you run up to them and tell them this news. But if you go online dating, then maybe your ex-dumper will find out through themselves possibly, or other people who may have just seen and told them. But, of course, there are a whole manner of ways that they could discover the situation. Maybe it gets to the stage where they've reached out to you and just casually asked, have you been dating? And you can say, well, I've been on a few dates, nothing serious. You're single, you can do what you want. You sitting at home alone is going to be much more likely to put your ex-dumper off you in comparison to you dating somebody else. Again, can I guarantee this? No, but I can just tell you statistically, most dumpers will view a dumpee in a better light if they know they have been dating in comparison to if they've been sitting at home alone, because that is not attractive. Now, if you would like advice and support about how to try and increase the chance of one day getting your ex back, then you may want to consider my audio coaching service, where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique specific situation. This is the best and diamond level of support that I can provide. Go to my website www.dateme.tips for more information about how I can become your coach and your teammate via my audio coaching service. Talking about your feelings can also improve your mental health. It helps prevent the buildup of negative emotions, which can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, and even physical health issues. Speak your heart to free your mind. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast. If you feel that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description. And point number 3 is maybe you want it to happen. So as a dumpee, if you find out your ex-dumper is dating someone new, that is going to scare you. It doesn't matter what I've just said, that is going to make you feel uncomfortable because you don't know for certain if they will ever break up with this person, even though I've already said it's very likely, but also you probably just don't like the thought of it. And why should you? I'm not saying you should enjoy the thought of it, but what I am saying is that maybe there is a reason why you would like it to happen. And that reason is because often dumpers need to get through what I refer to as the single honeymoon period before they start to reconsider their position, and you, as a dumpee, get the opportunity to maybe reconnect. So if we consider your ex's life journey post-breakup, they're going to be wanting to experience things that they couldn't within the relationship. Now, that doesn't always mean they're going to date new people, but sometimes it does. And until they get to that stage, they might not really self-reflect in a way of where they decide they would like to speak with you and see if things could work again. Often, they need to tick off and check off things in their mind that they want to see and experiment, and that might include dating. Now, as a dumpee listening to this, you might think, well, I don't want to be second best. I don't want to be second option. But I would say, instead of thinking of it like that, view it as that they may go on dates with other people and then realize that you are the best person that they are ever likely to connect with. Remember what I said earlier, anybody they meet within the first year or so is unlikely to last the test of time. Those people that they meet, well, it's likely to end. So what does that do? It highlights how hard it is being single and dating. It also highlights for your relationship, which presumably was much longer than a few dates, it may have been years or decades, it may have been marriage, it may have had children, that relationship is going to be very hard, if ever, probably not ever be able to be beaten. So this isn't about your ex-dumper seeing you as a second option, it's about your relationship being highlighted for being as great as it was. And perhaps that can only happen if and when your ex-dumper has actually dated some other people to really understand everything that they have now thrown away, and probably things that they now really hope they can get back. So if you find out your ex is dating someone new, although I can't guarantee how it's going to pan out, maybe you might actually be happy that it's happening.